I want the starter set. Like, I want to be able to put my bags down and not have to run out to the store again. And if I forgot something, I don't want my vacation to start 3 hours later. If I'm up in the Outer Banks, I don't want to go hit the one road and go hope that the stores are open and come back, right? Same in 30A in Florida. Like, you just want to put the bags down and enjoy your stay. And I think that guest expectation is going to continue to drive what property managers are providing and how they're trying to elevate, differentiate themselves against the competitors.
You're listening to the Vacation Rental Managers Podcast with Sarah and T.
Sarah stands for me, Sarah Bradford, a 15-year vacation rental company owner in Colorado who sold the company for big bucks last year.
And T stands for me, Tim Cafferty, who's still moving and shaking with two companies, Outer Banks Blue and Sandbridge Blue, in North Carolina and Virginia, respectively.
Between us, we have managed over 700 properties, making lasting memories for over 100,000 guests, and produced over 150 podcast episodes and counting, sharing all of our secrets to growing a profitable, long-lasting vacation rental company.
We like to call those secrets pullover moments, and it wouldn't be possible without support from our pullover partners, ICND, Key Data, and Sojo. We're back and better than ever. I'm Tim.
And I'm Sarah.
Sarah, let me be the last to wish you a happy new year. I'm not sure of the protocol, but once you get about 4 or 5 days into it, stop it, folks. We all know, new year, right?
Yeah, I'm loving getting everyone's Christmas card, but it says Happy New Year because they were too late to do a Christmas card.
Thanks for calling me out on that. Appreciate you doing that.
Oh, I haven't gotten yours yet.
Oh, see, there you go. Well, don't be surprised when it says Happy New Year.
Okay.
At any rate, we are back and we have one of our podcast pullover partners with us today, Max Farley, who you've heard on the podcast before. The Chief Executive Officer of Sojo is with us today to talk about logistics. That's a great topic as we start the new year. Welcome, Max.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Max, we are going to talk about this word logistics, which most people, that word makes their eyes roll into their head. Maybe they get confused, scared. It sounds like something big corporate people do. So you're going to simplify it for us, and we're going to chat it out about how we handle logistics in our vacation rental business. But first, can you give us a little background of how, you started Sojo from scratch? Give us a little history of you.
Sure. So, entrepreneur by trade, exited a business in 2021, really wanted to get back in again. My background was in technology and logistics, and fell in love with the vacation rental industry, with a consumer, and had been for a long, long time. And I loved fragmented industries filled with entrepreneurs and collaborative people. So just fell in love with it, wanted to find a way to help the back of the house operations, and thought I could build something to be a small piece of that big puzzle.
When you talk about back of the house operations, when I first heard about Sojo, I was like, no. They don't do that, do they? I mean, this is a well-defined niche that you serve, the spot that we have. And at the end of the podcast, you'll hear that Sojo wants to make turn days suck less. That whole prospect of getting the kitted amenities together. Man, what set that off for you to say, I can do that?
I'm not smart enough to start a data company or a pure tech company, so I had to wrap logistics and fulfillment and product in the mix all around a technical component. But I saw it was just, I've never seen an industry filled with people that are working harder and more collaborative and want to really sharpen up on operations more. And there were just a ton of tools on the revenue side, and I didn't see a ton of tools on the back of the house operations side. And so I wanted to jump in and see if I could help solve a problem.
So let me start there. You look at back of the house. You've obviously had a good cross-section of experience in this industry helping folks. What's the biggest gap that you see that individual vacation rental managers miss on that operation side?
I don't know that they miss anything, Tim. I think it's just not a high enough priority for them, especially since I've been involved. You've got growing supply, growing ADR, and growing utilization of the homes. And so figuring out how to dial in your consumables isn't a top 10 priority. And so for us, it's around like, how do you make clean times less? How do you avoid the $50 sponge or the $50 bag of coffee? How do you make sure your inspection percentage is increasing year over year? So it's little things like that that add up over time. But I don't think that it's anything missed. I just think it's more stuff that's been on the back burner for a long period of time.
And can you explain what does Sojo do? Some of us that have larger companies, it's a conundrum. Like, wait, what do you supply? Because, for example, in my company, we had a huge warehouse and we had buckets of shampoos, buckets of conditioners, buckets of toilet paper, all the supplies. The cleaner would come through, pack their bags with all those things, in mass. We ordered them, and then they'd go to the home and put them out. So with Sojo, how does it work?
Our average customer size is 150 homes that they manage. And so it scales up to about 2,000 and then down to 25. But most of the customers that we have are around 150 homes. So a decent sized product manager. And we take the data from your PMS and we see what reservations are coming and what the configurations of the homes that are being rented are. You, the product manager, choose what amenities and consumables and snacks and coffee and pods and sponges and toilet paper you want by home. And then we pick, pack, and deliver by reservation, by home for you. And so what that means for the product manager is they're receiving a bundle of goods for every home that they have. So the cleaner would come in, they'd grab their linen bag, they'd grab their Sojo bag, and they'd leave. And so you're reducing time, you're reducing the error rate, you're making sure they're not forgetting something and having to open a ticket and get the runner to come bring them the coffee that they forgot. That whole chain should move a little bit smoother.
And you send those boxes per reservation, but a lot of people make reservations 3 days before. How do you handle that?
It's a departure-based business. And so if it's a last-minute booking, that home's most likely already renter ready. And so that isn't an issue for us. So we don't have customers that are using this on. So we send the goods based on the departure. So once the home is left, that's when the cleaners are coming in. And so our window of missed reservations is very, very small.
Got it. And does it include everything? Like, we had so much stuff we had to pack, like especially the toilet paper, the Kleenex boxes, the gift that we gave guests. Of course, everyone knows I'm big on that. Does it include all that stuff?
We need to get a little bit more away as a business from providing ingredients to providing recipes, but you can go and make it what you want. We have customers that are using us just for their bath amenities. We have customers that are using us for everything that goes in the home, including the Kleenex, including the welcome card, including the gift and the beach towels and the robes and all of those items. It just depends on how you want to use us and how we can add value to your operations.
A couple of the answers you've already given have made me think of more of the questions. One of the ones Sarah just addressed, the last minute bookings, and you said you deliver on departure, not arrival. I would have never thought of that. What are some of the other things you learned along the way? They're like, oh, no, we can't do it that way. We got to do it this way.
So I can't take credit for that lesson learned. That was a Jason Sprinkle. He was one of the first guys I talked to, and he said my idea was atrocious, and this is how you can fix it. And so that was moving to departure on that side. That's probably been the biggest one. I think the other lesson learned is don't provide customers stickers. So we had a horror story where we had a large product manager that wanted to provide stickers as for their guests. And the CEO of the company called me about 6 months later and said, Max, you got to stop. I've never had so many tickets for stickers on wood floors, stickers on dishwashers and refrigerators. And so it was left hand not talking to the right in terms of that business, but really dialing in what you want in the house and figuring out what the guest is going to take value in is really important. And we're learning that every step of the way.
And the other one I had was you mentioned about clean times, reducing clean times. I immediately leaped to analytics. You're an analytical guy. You got a finance degree. What kind of analytics should rental management professionals be looking at in terms of the logistics end? And what can we measure that can be made better?
Sure, it's a great question. I think there's two that we focus on, and we partner with Breezeway and we partner with Key Data to get as much of this data as we possibly can to show the value add to the customer. But it's inspections and cleans. It's the average clean time, and we have historically been a 5% decrease in average clean time. But again, not for a Sojo pitch, but like you've got clean time and you've got cleans that are done before check-in. Those are the two biggest units of measure that we look at on the clean. And inspection is inspection time and past inspections. So what that percentage is over time. So are you getting the house renter ready? So the inspection percentage that is passed is higher year over year.
And talk to us about how you think a vacation rental manager should even gather that data. I used to say that the cleaner punched in a code when they got there and when they left, and then we would look at that. But it was really hard to do that, and we really didn't do it. So how do they actually track clean times?
Most of the clients that we're getting clean time data from is they're using Breezeway. And that's a great partner for us. They feed us that data. So they're going in, starting the clean, ending the clean. And so they can manage and monitor that, either the ebbs and flows of how long that takes over time.
And on that, I have a lot of discussions with some of my clients about piece rate versus hourly. I'm a big proponent of piece rate. Talk to us about how and what you think about that topic.
I think it depends. I've not seen, for me, it's all by market, and it's even by market, it's by property manager. I think it depends on where you are in terms of the size of your business and what you can dictate towards your cleaners. And that's been something that we've learned a ton, is that the cleaners and what the cleaners require and how much leverage cleaners have over property managers changes by market and changes by size of the property manager. I'm a big fan of piece rate. I love that. I think it's, you want to pay for the job, not for how long it takes to complete the job. But I've seen more success with clients doing that have scale and that are in certain markets than clients that are smaller and not as established.
Why do you think that is?
I don't think they have the long relationship with the cleaners. I think they're nervous to disrupt. One of the hardest things for us in the sales process is for Sojo is the property manager wants to do it, but they're nervous what the cleaner is going to think. And so I think that's you get bigger and stronger and you've got this diverse group of cleaners to choose from, you realize you are the ones that's in control of that experience. But when you're starting out, you want to make sure you're taking care of your vendors and you want to make sure that the one cleaner that takes care of you all the time is satisfied, and you don't want to upset that apple cart.
And does any of that change for our listeners who have contract cleaners versus employees?
So most of our clients, other than one or two, have contract cleaners. And so that's the majority of the operational model that we see be successful for us using the Sojo platform. The ones that are doing it in-house, they're controlling so much more of their operational environment that they're not looking to outsource part of that to someone like a Sojo and then keep the rest. It's the people that are already using the contract cleaners are like, oh, this is a great way to standardize and automate, and we're a good fit there.
Okay, let's dig into that more because I'm a huge fan of not doing contract cleaning, and so is Tim. So talk to us about that. Why would this not just the Sojo product, but it sounds in general like if you were going to start a vacation rental company tomorrow, Max, you would do contract cleaning. Why is that?
I think as you're starting out, having a flexible cost structure is important. As you reach different inflection points in growth, you can in-house certain things. The flip side of that is probably, look, you're not controlling the experience in the home for the guest and making sure that home's guest ready. I think it just depends on what you're good at and what type of relationships you have. But what I've seen for these smaller operators is they're focused on growing their inventory, growing their bookings, and growing their channels. And they want to make sure that they can go and consume the cleaners by the drink versus having them full-time on as W-2 employees.
Let's talk about some trends. Are you seeing any kind of a shift towards specific amenities or anything we should be thinking about as we enter 2024?
Thematically, I'm seeing a shift in much more focus around profit per reservation and not just revenue per reservation. And so I think that's a big, in the first couple of years we started ADR growth, inventory growth, there was not a lot of things getting in people's way in terms of just growing top line. And so revenue was the focus. And the more we see customers and the more I listen to from podcasts such as this and others is, how do you go and drive profitability per stay and have a more efficient operations? And so I see that shift happening pretty quickly.
Let me follow up on that and shift you slightly. I think Sarah might have some follow up on what you just said, but Max Farley, his wife, his three boys go and rental vacation rental. You open the door. What is your expectation about how the property is prepared relative to the amenities that you see now?
So that's a loaded question because I stay exclusively with customers. And so I'm always satisfied with the amenities that are in the home.
Oh, yes.
But for me, I want the starter set. Like, I want to be able to put my bags down and not have to run out to the store again. And if I forgot something, I don't want my vacation to start 3 hours later. If I'm up in the Outer Banks, I don't want to go hit the one road and go hope that the stores are open and come back, right? Same in 30A in Florida. Like, you just want to put the bags down and enjoy your stay. And I think that guest expectation is going to continue to drive what property managers are providing and how they're trying to elevate, differentiate themselves against the competitors.
It's interesting you say that because I have recently involved myself with more of the Verbo reviews that we're getting from guests. And we pride ourselves on making sure that starter supply is there. For instance, toilet paper in every bathroom, not just like the vacation rental I walked into last week. I had one unwrapped roll of toilet paper sitting on the counter with the flap hanging off the side, Sarah. Oh, my God, it was great. But at any rate, back to the Verbo experience in the reviews, people are getting a little upset now that we're only providing a starter supply. They're like, I can't believe I had to go buy extra toilet paper for the 3 weeks I was here.
Come on. It's not for 3 weeks.
Well, you know what I'm saying, that it's like an unlimited supply rather than a starter supply.
I'm glad
Okay.
you're bringing that up because Max, we're having a discussion, right? I agree with the guest. We didn't just do a starter supply. I think a starter supply seems cheap when you just give, and maybe this isn't what you're doing, but I've seen many vacation rental companies give one dishwashing pod, a tiny thing of dishwashing liquid. It's kind of like this will get you through the first night, but then you have to go on that little road that Max is talking about and go buy it. We gave unlimited trash bags, um, unlimited, basically 3 toilet paper rolls per bathroom, which you gotta use a lot of the bathroom to go through three. And it's mostly a week, Tim. So I do believe that people could get upset about that.
Is there a question in there anywhere for our
I
guest?
don't know. I'm just sharing my opinion. Max, what do you think?
I agree with you from a guest, and I think one of the more interesting anecdotes is we've got a client that has 800 homes throughout the Rockies and in the West Coast. And one of the interesting things I learned was as soon as he started using Sojo, he immediately requested more dishwasher tabs, more dishwasher pods. And it was, I want to encourage the guest to do as many loads of dishes as possible. So when my cleaners get there, it's not running multiple cycles through the load. And so I think there can be an intersection of what's good, what the guest wants, and what is good for the property manager. But I do think that where the puck is going is more amenities and more for the guest and for the reservation and not just the bare necessities.
Tim, you put a thing of trash bags in there, right?
Yes.
Do you?
Yes. Every single one in the house.
I mean, a box of them.
Well, they don't come in boxes, Sarah.
Oh, ours did.
There are rolls. Yes.
But yeah, a roll. Okay, a roll.
Mhm.
You put a whole roll in.
Okay. Is this about me now? Are we
Well,
are we
no, but
deflecting
I've
this
been
whole
in
thing?
properties where they put one trash bag on the kitchen counter. This is your one thing that you can put trash in. And like Max is saying, I think it's a great point. It encourages the guests to not do the things you actually want them to do. And maybe that's a good part of logistics is it's not just logistics, but it's like saying, how do you want them to leave the home?
But I also think Max said it is market specific. And again, I just went into a vacation rental, actually had to rent one myself over Christmas because I have too big of a family and I had to rent from, let's just say, a national firm. None of that. No sheets, no towels, one roll of unwrapped toilet paper hanging off the side of the counter when I walked in, no dish rags, no detergent, nada. And I'm telling you, I think that is more the norm than the exception.
Yeah. So sorry, we're debating this, Max, but we're not even debating. We're agreeing, to be clear, that especially like Tim's market with he has high end homes. I had high end. People are paying big bucks.
Yep.
Give them the supplies, right? Agreed.
Agreed.
And he can help you with that, by the way.
Yeah.
Getting the underlying there. Oh boy. Okay.
Okay. So I want to go back to the word logistics because that word's still a little scary. Let's talk about that, Max. Like, pretend you're a vacation rental company owner. This stuff is hard to figure out which cleaning team should clean which house, what order they should do it, how long it takes them to drive between, do they have the right supplies, how long does it take to pack them, blah, 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 blah. Talk to us about logistics. Maybe give the listener a couple hints like, do you know this? Have you figured out this? This is a really tough thing. Talk to us about what logistics means in this industry.
What I've seen is logistics is a tool to try to manage just all the frenetic activity that's going on in preparation for turn day. And I've not met a property manager that's dialed in. I mean, the best of the best of the best is still constantly hair on fire, hoping that they can survive through noon on Saturday. You know, there's a difference between what people will say and how their actual operations are. And so it's really challenging. I've met the spectrum of people I consider to be the best of the best in terms of their operations and to people that are just getting started. Each of them have different hacks that work for them. And I think that's what makes this whole industry super hard. As you mentioned, a big warehouse. We have customers that have 800 homes in a warehouse as big as my office. How do you do that? They have customers that have 800 homes and They're using their cleaners' warehouses because they don't have a warehouse themselves, or they're in the Smokies where they can't afford a warehouse. And so it's a completely fragmented industry where the tips and tricks for someone who's doing it in 30A or in Texas where they can get more real estate is completely different than the person who's operating up in Colorado or up in the Outer Banks where land comes at a premium. The cleaners come in from an hour and a half away. It's just a very different solution by market, by property manager. And it's been, which is challenging and exciting for us as we look to continue to grow. It's been really interesting to learn. I've not had the same conversation twice for 2 years.
I want more.
Okay.
So I'm asking about logistics. What do people need to figure out? What are some tips you have for them around this topic?
For logistics, especially for operators that are under 100 homes that are getting started and trying to scale their business, it's the hidden cost of labor that logistics ties up. It's the $50 coffee bag that they're not ready for the turn. The cleaner goes to the house, they forget something, they're sending a runner to Costco or to Walmart, and now all of a sudden that $2 coffee bag costs $50. And God forbid they might even be late for their check-in, which is one of the leading causes to negative reviews. And so it's just the tail that wags the dog in terms of the overall readiness and guest satisfaction that comes into the home. And those costs eat up a ton.
And relative to logistics, we talked about data a little bit earlier, and we referenced Breezeway. I'm a small operator. I don't have Breezeway. I can't afford it. What kind of things can I do with my little Excel spreadsheets and whatever I'm doing, the tricks and hacks that you said that I'm making it through the weekend? What can I do to start statistically understanding those pain points?
Standardization is the key. I think the piece that smaller operators struggle with is how do they control the experience and control the turn day for their different homes, right? You've got disparate cleaners, you've got 5 or 10 different homes. You want to, if you don't standardize what you're doing, it's going to be hard to measure your profitability. And so making sure all of the amenities are the same, you have the same service levels for each one of your cleaners, and you just want to make sure you have some standards regardless of how big or small you are. Or as you scale, it'll be really, really hard to undo, and it'll be hard to measure what am I making per turn.
You know, as I talk to vacation rental managers out there the past year and a half without me focusing so much on my own, I realize how many don't live in the market where they operate. And I think that logistics gets even harder because they're not watching it. They're not seeing it. They're not standing in the warehouse or wherever the cleaners are loading. And they're just kind of like, did you get it clean? Good. It must be working well. I think it's hard for those people from afar to see it. Because my opinion is the way you start this process is you physically do the work and you drive around and see how it operates. That's the best advice I could give is watch this happen. Because when you watch your cleaners or your contract cleaners packing up their bag of lots of different items and then watch them get to the property, realize they don't have shampoos for that extra bathroom they forgot about, and then watching someone have to go get it, or they didn't have enough in their car, or do they put extra in their car, like that whole logistical nightmare, that's the only way you can start to improve. What do you think of that tactic?
I completely agree. The way that we've partnered best with clients is we go on site and tell them what are they doing today and how we could improve their operations tomorrow, whether they use us or not. But I think the big thing, to your point, that matters most, that people, they look at the end result, and it's not just about the end result, it's how you get there. Touches and steps matter. Every single time someone in your warehouse is taking a step, that's time and that's money. Every single time someone touches that bottle of shampoo or that linen bag, that's money. And also error rate. So the more touches you have on something, the more likely there's going to be errors. And the more steps someone takes in and around the warehouse, to the home, back to the warehouse, back to the house, that's time and error and cost. And you can't see that unless you're in person.
Boom. I dropped the mic. My vice president of operations has got his hands in the air yelling right now. That's fantastic.
Okay, Max, I have a couple more quick questions. I think they're quick. Linens is a huge part of logistics that people forget about. They're just kind of like, oh, we do it in the house. It's fine. But once you get to 60, 70 properties, it's almost impossible to do it in the house. Plus, as Tim and I have talked on the podcast, it's not even the right thing to do because it's not professionally cleaning. What do you think about linens? What would you tell a company that's maybe 30 properties, about to be 40, 50, 60, they want to get to 100? What should they be doing about linens? Own their own? Have their own laundry, have the cleaners clean it? What's your thoughts on the whole linen laundry topic?
Stayed away intentionally from linens just because of how much of a cluster cuss it is in general. But I think it goes part and parcel with like, what do you want to be great at versus what you want to outsource? And as you get to that 60, 70 home mark, you're realizing like this can't be, like this should not be my core competency of what I own. And so I'm going to go partner with someone to clean it, and I'm going to go make sure it's done professionally. I'd recommend that from the outset. I mean, to me, when I think about building a business, like build it with growth in mind, and don't do something today that you're going to have to rip out and replace in a year. That's a lot of time and that's a lot of heartache.
Great. One last question. Amenities, shampoos and conditioners. I've heard that Sojo has some of your customers put their logo on shampoo and conditioner. What's the reason behind that?
99% of our customers put their brand on the amenities that are in the home. It's a huge reason people come there, and they want that take home value. They want that bottle of lotion to be taken home and potentially thought of when they're back at their primary residence. And the other piece is, Jason Sprinkles hit on this in the first conference I ever went to in Destin, was that 70 something percent of guests that come into a home, they're thinking they're staying at an Airbnb. And so how do you brand the experience in the home for the guest? Amenities and consumables is a very easy and approachable way to do that.
And then what about the guest gift? I know you've gotten into that recently. What do you think, Tim, the luxury brand of Outer Banks Blue, what do you think he should have the guest? It's an idea you have for him on the guest gift when a guest walks in.
The product is very market specific. For me, it's about like, who do you value as a product manager? Are you valuing someone that's a repeat guest? Do you mark VIPs in your PMS? Is it the gross booking value of the reservation or duration? Like any of those things that you, the product manager, see value in, give them something special that's branded. I mean, we've got dry bags and changing ponchos and little coolers that they can go take to the beach that all are branded to the product manager. But it's really much more around like, how do you want to create that differentiated experience for the guest that you deem important? And that changes by product manager and by market.
Okay, Max, we didn't warn you, but you've listened to the podcast. You know what's coming next. Our inane little game, Rapid Fire, where we ask you these questions off the wall to try and find out a little more about you, and you can answer in a few words or more wordy if you like. So, Happy, start the clock. You're a new resident of Tennessee. Nashville hot chicken or some good old Texas barbecue?
Nashville hot.
Oh, you adapt quickly.
Max, you have 3 boys. Is that correct?
Yes.
If you had a girl, what were you going to name her?
I have no idea. I'd have to ask my wife.
Make it up.
Let's call it, she's going to kill me because I'm going to forget. We'll call it Eleanor.
Oh, that's my niece's name, funny enough. Maybe that's really coming back.
Max, a proud graduate of the SMU family, the Ponies, leaving the American Athletic Conference, soon to be in the ACC. Are you going to be an ACC fan? Do you love it or you hate it?
Love it for SMU. Going to be a great experience.
What shampoo do you have in your shower currently that you're using?
My wife's shampoo is what I would use. I'm the most low maintenance person in the world as it comes to bath amenities, which is wildly ironic. If you could make me a 4-in-1 of body wash, shampoo, conditioner, I'd probably use it all the time.
4-in-1. I like it.
The former CFO of a menswear company. How much mizzen and mast wear do you have still in your closet?
More than I'm proud of. I don't get rid of clothes that easily, so I've got a lot.
It's nice stuff.
Okay, Max, you can go to one more country before you die to travel all around it. Which one would it be?
I'd probably I'm trying to go this year to Switzerland with my wife. We've never been to Europe together, and so I want to go somewhere and take that in with her. That'd be fun.
Who's your nanny that you can leave 3 boys and go to Switzerland with your wife?
Well, you said trying. We haven't figured out the logistics of it yet, and so we're still trying to get that all buttoned up, but we'll see.
Logistics.
There we go.
How about a skill that you currently do not possess that you wish you had?
I wish I could be more patient as a sports dad. I'm a miserable sports dad today, and it's a skill that I need to work on.
Are you the guy that yells at the ref?
No, I mean, the ref needs help occasionally, but I self-admittedly need to work on that skill. Yes.
That is
Just
a tough
saying.
thing for men. I'll tell you what.
Well, let me just say from experience, starting with 2 boys and then having girls help a lot on that. Just saying.
Do you have an Alexa?
I do not.
Okay, well, when you play music in your house, however you may do that, what genre do you choose? Like, what do you tell Spotify to play?
So country music's big. as well as my wife knows every lyric to every 90s and 2000s hip hop song. And so it's one of those two genres.
Oh, can you even name a 90s hip hop song?
I can't, but there's not one that pops up that she does not know everything about.
Wow.
Okay, last one for me. You're scanning the channels and you come across that movie that you've seen 12 times. And you just got to watch it one more time. What is it?
Top Gun.
Did you like Top Gun too?
Both. Absolutely. Huge, huge fan.
I did too. I cried. I had a weird emotional reaction. Okay, my last question is, when you take on a new customer, what's the common mistake most of them are making?
They're allowing the guest or someone in their warehouse to control what's going in the home. So there's no standards for the property manager. And so that just leads to a really inconsistent experience, which is one of the reasons they come to us.
How about that? I end with a little Sojo plug.
Okay, Max, as usual, you win nothing except our undying appreciation for playing our name little game. So now it's time, Sarah, for Not So Hot Off the Press, but Definitely Happening, which, by the way, was a trivia question at my Christmas party, and nobody got it. We have to do a better job promoting our news segment, obviously, to my staff. But at any rate, we do have a little segment for you today, and it involves us. What better news than us to talk about ourselves?
So not so hot off the press, but definitely happening today. We wanted to announce our top episodes of 2023. Max, I'm sure you have your favorites, right?
Of course.
But we're not going to put them on the spot. One way to do it is to look at how many listens for the year each one got, but that wouldn't be fair to the most recent ones versus the ones back in January and February. So we did it based on the most listened to in the first 90 days of release to make it fair to all the episodes, other than like the last three. It's not as fair. So we came up with our top three. Let's count down. So the third most favorite episode of 2023 was
episode 150, How to Make Your Listing Stand Out from the Rest. That was a good one. Go back and listen to this if you haven't heard it already.
And you know, those kind of episodes always do well because people are always wondering, how can they get more bookings? How can they improve their listings? And I have to get the snarky remark in there that most listings out there are not 100% awesome. Spend some time in 2024 looking at your listings and seeing if they're the very best they can be based on episode 150, where we say all the parts and pieces of those listings to think about and how they can get you more bookings. Number 2 was episode 153, Your VRBO Listing Blows. Just a reminder that Tim came up with the name of that episode, not me, as everyone thought I probably did it. And I don't know if I was ever snarkier than on that episode. What do you think, Tim?
I had more comments from people about that episode. First of all, they loved the title. Maybe they knew I came up with it and they were just being patronizing. It was catchy, and it was also true. Remember, we had the Verbo site up on our screens going, oh, I got one. Look at this one.
Yeah, Max, if you haven't listened to that one and you want to really understand our personalities, go for it. We just didn't hold back, especially some of those ones. Remember with the titles, we like, listen to this title. And it was like basement level condo number 153. And I just did like the number of the episode. But who wants to stay in that place? If you want to laugh and also get something, go to episode 153. And number 1, Tim, what is our number 1 episode of 2023?
Episode 157, VR Fraud and the Quasi-Hostage Taking Crisis, which I think made the list at the top more so because of Terry White's rant. He went off on guests, and we all loved it.
So Terry White even suggested we should do this episode on the I've Had It episode, which is also one of the top ones of last year, where different people called in and shared what they've had it with in the vacation rental industry. And Terry said what he's had it with is people that are taking us hostage by threatening a bad review, and then also true VR fraud of using a credit card that's not theirs. And so then we had Terry on And he just got to go off on this. And apparently everyone else is annoyed with it too, because everyone tuned in about fraud.
And they learned about fraud too. I actually spoke to somebody yesterday who said they had listened to that episode 4 times.
Oh,
Pick up
geez. I
tips.
haven't even listened to it 4 times.
That was it. And so that's not so hot off the press, but definitely happening.
And Max, maybe in 2024, since you're starting off early in January as well, you're going to be the top episode of 2024 talking about logistics, getting people excited about figuring out back of the house operations. Thank you so much for being on here today.
No, thank you guys for having me. I'm such a big fan, and it was great spending the first week of the new year with you. Thank you for having me again.
That's Max Farley. He's the Chief Executive Officer of Sojo. You can find out more about him and all the products he offers at getsojo.com. Sarah, thanks for waking up early this morning. People don't even know it's not even sunrise where you are, and we have done another podcast. And thank you, Max. Super job.
Tim, thanks for dealing with my ribbing about how many trash bags you provide.
I'm going to go talk to somebody about that right now. So long, everybody.
Bye, Max.
Bye. Thank you.
You've just listened to Sarah and T, the Professional Vacation Rental Managers Podcast, hosted by Tim Cafferty of Outer Banks Blue and Sandbridge Blue, and Sarah Bradford, former owner of 2 vacation rental companies in Colorado, now advising other VR companies to thrive and grow. Today's episode was brought to you by Sojo, our podcast partners who are on a mission to make Turn Day suck less by automating your guest amenities. Never order or kit amenities again. Visit getsojo.com/Sarah and T to claim 30 days of free guest amenities exclusively for Sarah and T listeners. Special thanks also to IC&D for hosting Sarah and T's website. Sarah and T love to hear from their listeners. You can reach out to them on Facebook, LinkedIn, or their website, sarahandT.com. They always love to read a review on your favorite podcast app. Even better, if you like this episode, share it with a friend. Sarah and T will be back with a new episode very soon.